Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Safi-Ullah and I am from Mirpur University of Science and Technology. Today our topic is about Amazon Simple Storage Service S3 bucket. Now let's start our topic. What is AWS S3 service? S3 stands for Simple Storage Service on AWS. S3 is the most commonly used and core services of AWS. We can use S3 as a backup purpose. S3 provides high availability and high durability. Well, high availability means we can retrieve our data instantly, and high durability means the data we store on S3 cannot be lost. Well, the question arises in our mind, how much data we can store on S3? As AWS tells that we can store infinite data on S3 as per our need. Now moving to the next one, AWS S3 storage classes. There are different types of S3 storage classes like S3 standards, S3 intelligent tiering, S3 express one zone, S3 standard infrequently access, S3 one zone infrequently access, S3 glacier instant retrieval, S3 glacier flexible retrieval, S3 glacier deep archive. Now we can discuss each of them one by one. Use case of S3 classes. The first one is S3 standard. We can use S3 standard for frequently access over data. In this case, AWS replicate our data into multiple availability zones. By default, we can use S3 standard and it is most expensive as compared to other classes of S3. Now the next one is S3 express one zone. It is similar to S3 standard, but the only difference is that in this case, AWS does not replicate our data into multiple availability zones, and it is cheapest as compared to S3 standards. Now the next one is S3 standard infrequently access. We use S3 standard infrequently access when we do not have to access our data frequently. Like you can take the example of hospital prescription system. You can upload the prescription of patients on S3, and you can retrieve after a long time or a month or a week. So this is the example of S3 standard infrequently access, and it is cheapest as compared to S3 standards. And in this case, AWS also replicate our data into multiple availability zones. And now the next one is S3 one zone infrequently access. It is similar to S3 standard infrequently access, but the only difference is that in this case, AWS does not replicate our data into multiple availability zones, and it is cheapest as compared to S3 standard infrequently access. Now the next one is S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval. We can use S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval when we have to access our data after a long time, a few times per year with instant retrieval. It is cheapest as compared to S3 standards. And in this case, AWS also replicate our data into multiple availability zones, almost 3 zones. Now the next one is S3 Glacier Flexible Retrieval. In this case, in S3 Glacier Flexible Retrieval, we retrieve our data after some minutes and hours, and it is cheapest as compared to S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval. Now the next one is S3 Glacier Deep Archive. In this case, we retrieve our data after 5 hours and 12 hours, and it is cheapest as compared to all the other classes of S3. Now the next one is S3 Intelligent Tiering. We can use S3 Intelligent Tiering when we do not know anything that how our data is accessed frequently, infrequently, or S3 Glacier Instant retrieved by the user. So in this case, we request to the AWS to monitor our object, and according to that, assign the class of S3 to the object. Now we see how AWS S3 works. Refer to the screen, please. Here is an Amazon S3 bucket. We can store different types of data on this bucket, like analytic data, log files, application data, video, and pictures. We can store different types of data on multiple availability zones. These type of data is organized through main features of S3, through access control, through replications. Now moving towards some features of S3. S3 provides 99.9% durability as well as availability, as I have already told you earlier. S3 is cost effective, no doubt. S3 also provide high scalability. We can enable versioning on S3. We can use S3 for big data analytics. We can host our static website on S3. These are the most general and basic features of S3. Here are some key points of S3. When you use any S3 service on AWS, these are the key points you must have to remember. The first, to create a folder, and on AWS we call folder as a bucket. Every object in S3 is stored in a bucket. To upload files and folders to S3, you need to create a bucket first, where the object will be stored. And the most important point you have to remember, bucket name with this bucket name must be unique. No bucket of that name is created globally even before. Otherwise, AWS will give you the error bucket with the same name already exists. And the last point you have to remember, when you create a bucket, you must have to specify the region where you want to create a bucket. In the last, thank you so much for watching.